Every night, this man's phone alarm resets itself to 3:33 a.m., and then something strange happens. It was just another Tuesday. Robert yawned as he reached for his phone. His eyes were still droopy from sleep, and it took him a few seconds to realize what he was looking at. The time on the screen read 3:33 a.m. He was used to waking up at 7 a.m. every morning, so why was his alarm set for the middle of the night? Had there been a power outage? The last thing he remembered was going to bed last night and turning his alarm off. He looked at the clock on his bedside table. It read 7 a.m., so his alarm had been set for 7 a.m. last night. Now it was 3:33 a.m. He shook his head in confusion. Tried to remember if he had changed the alarm clock setting the night before, but he couldn't. He had no idea why his alarm was set for 3:33 a.m. It wasn't like him to wake up in the middle of the night. In fact, he had never woken up in the middle of the night by an alarm.
What's going on?
He tried to go back to sleep, but it was no use. Every time he closed his eyes, he could only think about what was going to happen when his alarm went off again at 3:33 a.m. He decided that he was going to stay awake. Maybe it was a glitch in the system. If he stayed awake, he would know if anything weird happened. As the minutes ticked by, Robert grew more alert. 12:34 a.m., 1:34 a.m., 2:34 a.m. Finally, it was 3:33 a.m. Robert watched as the numbers on the clock changed. His heart started racing as the seconds ticked by. 3:33, 3:34, 3:35. Nothing happened. He let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. Maybe it was just a glitch after all. Robert was about to go back to sleep when suddenly his phone lit up. He looked at the screen and his blood ran cold. The clock on his phone now read 7 a.m., and there was a new notification. It was an alarm he hadn't set. It said, "Go to the basement." Robert didn't have a basement. In fact, he had never had a basement. He lived in a 2-story house. The first floor consisted of a living room, kitchen, bathroom, and his bedroom. There was no basement. Robert stared at the message on his phone in disbelief. Had he been hacked? Was this some kind of sick joke? But if someone had hacked into his phone, why would they tell him to go to the basement? As Robert stood there in his underwear contemplating what to do next, he heard a knock on the stairs outside his bedroom. Startled, he quickly hid his phone under his pillow. Whoever was outside the door began to climb the stairs. Robert held his breath as the footsteps grew louder. They stopped outside his bedroom door. Robert squeezed his eyes shut. Was this a nightmare, or was it real? Slowly, the doorknob began to turn. Robert's eyes shot open. The door creaked open, and a cold wind blew out. Robert screamed and jumped back. As he watched in horror, a dark figure emerged from the shadows. "Who are you?" Robert asked, his voice trembling. The figure didn't answer. It just stared at him with cold, dead eyes. Then it gestured toward the door with a finger. Robert felt a chill run down his spine. Was this real or was he dreaming? He looked back at the door, then at the figure in front of him. Slowly, he began to walk toward the stairs. As he descended the stairs, he noticed something strange. There was a door at the bottom of the stairs that wasn't there before, and it was slightly ajar. Robert's heart raced as he realized what was behind it. Taking a deep breath, he pushed the door open and stepped inside. The musty smell of decay filled his nostrils. Robert's eyes slowly adjusted to the darkness, and he began to make out the shape of a staircase in front of him. He hesitated for a moment, then began to climb the stairs. As he climbed higher, he could hear the sound of his own breathing. Suddenly, the stairs stopped. Robert found himself standing in front of a wooden door. He reached out and knocked. "Who's there?" a voice asked from behind the door. "I don't know," Robert replied. "But I think I just found the basement."